Okay, friends, good morning. Let us begin our metta meditation. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds, whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth. May all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother wishes her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hatred or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desire for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. Okay, with this metta thought, let us begin our practice. As we always say, this is the time to focus our undivided attention on our breathing. As we breathe in and out, we notice the breath rising and falling, appearing and disappearing, appearing only in our experience, disappearing is in our experience. That is, we feel inhaling as inhaling, exhaling as exhaling. We just feel. We focus our mind on that feeling of rising breath and passing away of breath. Along with that, we notice also the feeling that rises and falls. Our perception rises and falls. Our volition or will to pay attention also rises and falls. Our consciousness, awareness rises and falls. As we notice this rising and falling, appearing and disappearing, we notice very clearly that something disappears only when something arises. If there is nothing to arise, nothing to disappear. There is not any particular fixed something to disappear. So breath is not fixed, it rises and falls. Rises and falls. This is very natural phenomenon. As we pay attention to it, whatever desire, greed, clinging may try to appear will fade away, because the desire needs an object. That object is rising and falling. appearing and disappearing, then the desire does not arise. It fades away. When it fades away, the body, the breath, and the mind becomes more calm, more relaxed, more peaceful. And then in that state, we experience sense of openness, friendliness, experiencing this altruistic joy of friendliness. For we all are one. No difference between one and another in terms of rising and falling. And then resentment, rigidity, uptightness fade away. When that happens, mind becomes very more calm, more relaxed, more peaceful. That sometimes leads to sleepiness and drowsiness. Because when everything is calm, peaceful, the body becomes sluggish, tend to fall asleep. Then we have to arouse our spiritual energy, spiritual urgency, to arouse our energy, that we found this moment, and this is not a moment that we can gain all the time. This is very rare moment. And we found it, and we should not lose it. We must make use of it, have some benefit of having this rare moment. So we encourage ourselves to stay alert, awake, and get rid of our sleepiness. When sleepiness fades away, sometimes its opposite can arise, that is restlessness and worry. We become restless, remembering things that we have left undone or incompletely done, or focusing mind on the future, that what we are going to do after this, how we are going to do this, and we keep planning the future. As mind vacillated between these two like pendulum, we become restless. And therefore, again, we have to remind ourselves, we have to focus the mind on the present moment, which is specifically mentioned in the mindfulness of breathing discourse, Parimukhaṃ Satiṃ, the present moment. And the present moment is fleeting moment, not fixed moment. In that we can experience rising and falling of our breath, feelings, and so forth. And when we are reminded to return to the present moment, our restlessness and worry fade away. And then we are left with doubt. Doubt is the last of the 5 hindrances. We may doubt about our own success. We may question ourselves whether or not we can be successful That moment we are totally bewildered, confused. Therefore we have to remember the Buddha who so compassionately, with greatest wisdom, taught us this wonderful system from his own experience. And he encouraged us, saying many times, I don't ask you to do anything that you cannot do. This is very compassionate advice. Therefore, it must encourage us to remain with trust and confidence in the Buddha and the method he introduced, that is this meditation system of mindfulness. Also, we have successfully overcome four hindrances: greed, resentment, sleepiness and drowsiness, and restlessness and worry. This is our success. Then we can arouse our trust in us that we can be successful even in this overcoming last hindrance, doubt. With this we gain joy, happiness by overcoming hindrances. We become free from hindrances that naturally makes us happy. As Buddha said, one who is happy gains concentration. Sukhino chittang samadhyati. When we gain concentration, we see what we saw earlier. Now we see more clearly, more precisely, and experience the more subtle changes. Changing things, minutest things change. That is what we see when we gain concentration. That is why the Buddha said, the one who has concentration can see things as they really are. It means things are always in a state of flux, changing, moving, rising, falling, never resting, never resting. And this allows us to open our wisdom eye to see that everything is impermanent. No any permanent self. That is a very great achievement. This may not happen very quickly, but this is how it happens. So we just try to practice, and perhaps we might gain some insight to see this reality. With this, I stop talking and we all continue the practice. By means of this meritorious deed, may I never join with the foolish, may I join always with the wise, until the time attain Nibbana. May the suffering be free from suffering, may the fear-struck be free from fear, may the grieving be free from grief, so too may all beings be. From the highest realm of existence to the lowest, may all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering and attain to perfect peace. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Friends, let us spend the remaining very short time focusing on the discourse that we started with. That is the right understanding. Venerable Sariputta explained right understanding in 16 ways. We discussed one last couple of talks. That is understanding the unwholesome, the roots of unwholesome, the wholesome and the root of wholesome. That alone is right understanding. By having that right understanding, one can overcome defilements and attain liberation, end samsara. So the listening monks asked Venerable Sariputta, might there be any other way that and any other way of right understanding? Venerable Sariputta said there might be. Sometimes people ask me, why Venerable Sariputta said there might be, instead of telling, yes, there is one. My understanding of why he said there might be is that Venerable Sariputta wanted to give all the possibilities. Out of these 16 possibilities, even one might be enough for one to liberate oneself. And if there is somebody else whose mentality, whose background, wisdom, spiritual faculties are less or more developed, there might be another one. So that one he explained as another one. That is the nutriments. This is pretty clear, is that there are nutriments, 4 types of nutriments. Material food called Kabalinkara Ahara. It can be chewing, biting or drinking. Anything material. That helps He said, Bhutava Sambhave Shiva. Even in Karaniya Metta Sutta, we use Bhutava Sambhave Shiva. Bhuta means those who are already born, living, for their existence, their maintenance, material food is necessary. And Sambhavesi is those that are coming into existence. That is like embryo in embryonic stage of any kind in human, animals, birds, reptiles, and so on, fish and so forth. When they are in the process of becoming, they need material food. And they are not capable of getting them by themselves, but their mothers supply all these nutriments for being that is coming, that is in the process of becoming. We all got all our nutriments from our mother through the umbilical cord. She has to consume material food for two people, one for her, one for the new embryo that is growing. Likewise, all living beings, their mothers make them live through bringing, giving, supplying material nutriments. That's called Kabalinkara. Then that is the material explanation of material side. But there is another side to understand. That side generally, normally, not people think of it. That side is a spiritual side. And that is very important for our spiritual training. The purpose of eating, we have to, material meaning is to survive maintain the body and make it continue to exist. Spiritual side is something different. You can find this spiritual side explained in Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 2 called Sabbasava Sutta, the discourse on all cankers, where Buddha has given 7 steps to overcome our defilements. One is by using things we can overcome our defilements. We use food, lodging, clothes, and medicine. Using them mindfully, we can overcome certain defilements. What defilements? The greed, desire, clinging, craving, we can overcome by using them. We have to use them, and they are necessary, and therefore we have to use them mindfully. And here what we find in that discourse, this is not only prescribed or recommended not only for the monastics, but for all thinking beings who are seeking liberation. So this, I read it from that discourse. We recite it every day, morning and noon, when we consume food, material food. We say, reflecting wisely, he means the one who consumes, he or she, uses alms food neither for amusement nor for intoxication, nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness, but only for the endurance and continuance of this body, for ending discomfort and for assisting the holy life. Considering thus I shall terminate all feelings of hunger without arousing new feeling by overeating. I shall be healthy and blameless and shall live in comfort. This is the purpose of consuming food. When we consume food, if we remember this and reflect on this, we can say we eat mindfully. We eat mindfully, not only eating slowly, focusing mind on every chew we chew, every bite, but also we reflect on the purpose. And there is another passage that is also we recite every day. We recite it and we encourage others also to remember or reflect. That is this material food that I consume is made up of 4 elements: earth, air, water, fire. Every grain of rice, every little piece of meat, whatever, bread or meat or whatever, is made up of 4 elements. Similarly, the one who consumes this food also is made up of 4 elements. And then this person that consumes this food is not permanent being. That is 100% true. That is why we have to consume every day material food. And not permanent entity. And this being is empty of permanent soul or self. And this material food as it is clean, palatable, attractive. After consuming it, because of impermanence, it turns out to be unattractive, unpleasant. That also is 100% true. So when we consume material food, we use this passage. and others, since they are not material food, three other requisites that we use I may not be using here right now, but for this purpose I want to use only this particular section. And then, in order to make the consumption of material food without arousing our greed, Buddha has given a very, very stark, very strong parable. It is just a parable, just an example, a simile. Don't take it literally. Buddha wanted us to understand the simile or parable or example exactly as such, without adding anything to it or subtracting anything from it. The simile he has given is, sometimes you might even feel very, very, very difficult to accept that simile. I tell all these things before I tell you the simile to make it easy for you to understand. Don't get very upset. Buddha's simile is very beautiful, very powerful. He said, consuming material food, he said, suppose there is a couple, husband and wife, with one child. They have packed enough provision, material for a long journey through a desert. The journey is very long, and the provision they packed for them to consume on the way has to be limited because they cannot carry more than they cannot pack more than they can carry, even though the journey is very long. I call that pack they have Sankara package. Anyway, they have all necessary provision for them to consume on the way. When they traveled some distance, they used up all the things that they took with them. There was nothing to eat. Now the journey still is there. It is not over. Then this husband and wife discussed between themselves and said, now the journey is very long, we have to go, we don't have any food, we have to live, therefore let us kill our child. And they killed the child and dried their meat, packed them, and then continue their journey eating their only child's flesh. Every time they eat this flesh, both of them cry, "Oh, my son, where are you? We miss you. We have so much trouble in bringing you up. Now we don't have you anymore." Every time they eat this meat, they think that way. Please remember This simile is so powerful. And the Buddha said similarly, when we consume food, we should not have his advice. Whether we do it or not, that is up to us. His advice is, therefore, when we consume food, don't arouse your greed, your craving. Don't go for the taste. Just think that you are consuming this only for survival. Our journey to end samsara is very, very long. We can get stuck in one place and would not be able to move on if we become gluttonous, greedy, arouse our desire. That is the message Buddha wanted to give us, to remember. So, our journey, just like these people, that couple's journey, in the desert, they don't know when they would end the journey. But they have to live. Similarly, we don't know how long we have to live in samsara. In one of my earlier talks, I gave 10 similes taken from Samyutta Nikaya to explain how long our samsara is. This is a very small speck of that samsara journey. Very tiny little, insignificant, almost invisible, tiny little microscopic life that we are living compared to samsaric life. In that life, if we don't train the mind to reduce our desire, greed, then we cannot end this samsara. In order to arouse our spiritual urgency, Buddha gave this simile. Material food is absolutely necessary for our survival, but that would not be made an impediment, a hindrance, a stumbling block. We have to use it only for the purpose of surviving this life, existing, to make this life live. So, there are 3 other types of food. This is one, material food. That is called kabalinkara ahara. And other 3 aharas I mentioned by name now and explain in detail in our following talks. Other three kinds of food, nutriments, is phassa, contact. Contact is also absolutely necessary for our existence. Contact. There are all kinds of contact, primarily 6 kinds of contacts. Through the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. These are the 6 doors. Through these 6 doors we make contact. Just like material food nourishes our body, other 3 kinds of food also nourish the remaining part of our life. Then third nutriment is mano sanchetanahara. Sanchetana also 6, but one of them is taken as food. We explain it why it Why the Buddha used it as a food? What are the 6 kinds of sanchetana? Rupa sanchetana, Saddha sanchetana, Gandha chante sanchetana, Pottabha sanchetana, Dhamma sanchetana, other 5. And Chakku, Sota, Gana, Jiva, Kaya, Mana, Mano sanchetana. Mano sanchetana, Rupa sanchetana, Saddha sanchetana, Gandha sanchetana, Ras sanchetana, Pottabha sanchetana, Dhamma sanchetana. And he did not mention these chetanas, but he mentioned only Mano sanchetana. Because Mano sanchetana means thinking about or thought arising through the material form, sound, smell, taste, touch and mind objects. Thinking of them are called chetana. And here Buddha mentioned only Mano sanchetana. That is a very important nutriment. That nutriment is more powerful than all other nutriments. That is why Buddha picked only that one. So we will explain that in I explain it in detail. That's the third food kind of nutriments. Fourth nutriments is vijnana ahara, vijnana, consciousness. Consciousness is also kind of food, nutriment. And we explain this in detail later on. So Venerable Sariputta mentioned, if somebody understands these 4 kinds of nutriments and the cause of these 4 kinds of nutriments, end of these 4 kinds of nutriments, and the path leading to the end of these 4 kinds of nutriments, to that extent, that person have right understanding. Right understanding. So, I want to mention only this in brief as a part of the introduction to nutriment, and the other 3 I explain in detail. The first one, material food, everybody understands to some extent the importance of material food. The whole world is fighting for material food and cultivating material food, consuming material food. It is so gross, sometimes it is subtle, and people with some knowledge of biology, chemistry, physics, some science, they understand the benefit of material food. What kind of food we must consume, what kind of protein, vitamin, mineral, this and that we need to grow our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, hair, skin and eyesight and so forth. For all these organs in our body, what kind of nutriments we need, most people understand. But the spiritual side they don't understand. That is why we want to emphasize the spiritual side not only of material food but also of all other nutriments. So with this, I want to end this morning's session, and I invite you to think of it very carefully and form questions for tomorrow's session. Friends, if you remember this, if you don't remember right now, you go to YouTube and listen to it and form your questions, so that when you ask questions from what I said today, that would be very beneficial to everybody. If you don't get remember all these things, read Samyutta Nikaya, uh, yes, Puttamansa Sutta, Samyutta Nikaya 12, and so forth. You read them, and you read the meaning of all these nutriments. But we will discuss, so you come up with questions, and if you don't have this source, Samyutta Nikaya, you can go to internet and find it. Okay? Now, let me end this session with my regular wish with metta. May all beings who are in hospitals taken care of by very compassionate doctors, nurses, and hospital staffs, and many, many, many people, and may they recover very soon and return to normal life and continue their healthy life and practice Dhamma. And there are some individuals who have lost their very dear loved ones and they have been grieving. So let them listen to Dhamma, practice Dhamma, and through their understanding Dhamma and experience, be able to overcome their grief and return to their regular life and continue their practice so that they can understand Dhamma to overcome and end their grief forever. And there are many, and these doctors and nurses who have been risking their own lives, they are very compassionate individuals. They develop their compassion and love through their own practice. They don't learn it from books. And may they continue their very marvelous divine service for human beings and may live long in very good health without getting themselves affected by this virus and from other diseases, and live long in very good health. And there are many people very generously support all these events, support hospitals, organizations, individuals to recover from various diseases, researchers like cancer and so on. There are many wonderful, generous people. May they continue their very compassionate, generous practice and live long in very good health and have wonderful life and peace. And there are many leaders who have taken steps to encourage people to get vaccinations and take all kind of precautions, protect themselves and protect others. And these leaders live long in very good health to support compassionately other people. Other leaders who have been lagging behind, I'm very sure they have also started helping people, and may they continue their wonderful service. And overall, may you all be well, happy and peaceful, and live long in very good, healthy life. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante. 21 Sinai.
Bill.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu, sabba mangala.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.